Well, welcome everybody to the next edition of Tuning In with Tony. Today's going to be a very interesting class. It's kind of a piggyback from what we did last week. If you recall, our topic last week was all about universe meets you halfway. And we used the Eurotunnel as an example where two countries got together and they were both coming together at the same time and meeting in the middle. And that's a little bit about what the universe does to you. So it's so many times we think we're making this trip all alone, and it just seems like we're making the trek. But it's amazing how many advantages we have when we start looking at them. So today's color is the same as last week. It's still turquoise. It's still a light blue. We're still working on the expression part of our energy, which is our throat chakra, shoulders, that whole mouth area, anything you use to communicate or be able to show people what you do, whether it's in art or any kind of an expression. So this light blue color is very, very powerful when it comes to looking at what we're going to be talking about today, the power of observation, the power of looking at something. And I wanted to, we brought this up the odd time in other classes, but we wanted to take a deeper dive in this particular area. What does it mean when we look at something and we observe something? We're going to be really looking at it in a deeper way today. The theme itself today is about isolation of all things. It is isolation because in all of the things that we have going on, many times we choose isolation or to be alone. Like we get invited to a party and we figured, maybe I won't go. I don't know if I'm really ready for parties. I've had a long week and it's been exhausting. Or you might even have a tux if it is something a little more formal. And you'd figure, well, what if I get something spilt on it? And it just, you don't sometimes get involved with that. And what that is all of that has to do with being able to see an opportunity and you let it pass you by. In other words, you're watching this go by. And it is about that. So what are you watching when you're looking at your own life? Are you passing up some opportunities? And the only thing that's holding you back is the unknown. Well, I got a job offer or I've got an invitation to go to some place and I don't even know if it's going to be worthwhile. Well, rather than tapping into your intuition or your gut feelings, you just don't want to go. And you watch things go by. So it's that observation. What are you really afraid of? What are you really wanting in life? Because a lot of times when you are sending out messages that, look, I really want this or I want that, whatever it is that you want, sometimes it's not going to be presented to you in such an easy, obvious bow and gift. A lot of times it's covered up with stuff. And we sometimes wonder, why on earth would I get that? Because I was asking for something totally different. And then I get this. I want to meet a certain person. And then I go to this one party and I know this person's not going to be there. So I won't bother going. So let's talk about that a little bit, is what it is that we are looking at. So the first thing we want to do is really differentiate what it is when we are watching something, like you're watching a TV show, you're watching, let's say, a series of videos on YouTube or your favorite place where you get your videos. And the only thing that has happened, let's say, over the last 2 or 3 hours is 2 or 3 hours has passed. You're just watching it. There's no real anything you got from it. It was more entertaining. Some people will call it, well, it was kind of mindless. I just needed something just to sort of entertain myself. And these things went by. That's when you're watching something. It has no real purpose. It's just, you're just watching it for absolutely no reason. When you are observing, it's a completely different energy. And we want to be able to differentiate the two, because we're going to be using words like watching or observing, and sometimes they mean the same thing, and other times it's vastly different. When you're observing, you are decoding. You are looking at patterns. You're looking at behavior. Like when you're observing your children, or let's